let's try it again. Same thing. Same thing.
Huh.
So then I got pissed off and I took the little dart end and I just ripped off a little piece of it and I just like jammed it. And then I took out my CO2 and it was already used.
Oh!
Tubes for the win.
I never carry tubes.
Yeah, same.
Yeah.
Should you run tubeless on a road bike? Yay or nay? So in this video, I'm going to go around asking a few cyclists their experiences and thoughts on riding tubeless on a road bike. So for me personally, my experience has been a mix. When I first got this bike right here, came up set up with tubeless, so I was really excited because I heard great things about tubeless. A few weeks later, I got this puncture from the smallest piece of glass, but luckily the sealant did its job and sealed up the hole, and I was really happy. I was like, awesome, tubeless is great. But 5 minutes later, it started leaking. It started spraying sealant all over the place, all over my bike and body. It just wouldn't stop, and until I had no more air. And so I was like, wow, tubeless sucks. And so I thought it's probably the tire, so I just swapped it off and continued riding tubeless. On a second occasion, I went on for a big ride, and halfway through my ride, I was punctured by this giant nail. And of course, when I pulled out the nail, the hole was huge, so sealant obviously didn't seal it. But luckily, that time I had a dart. So I used up my dart, and it's actually still right here. You can see that. Luckily, the dart did its job. I was back on the road within 5 minutes. Initially, I thought my ride was done. But luckily the dart did its job and the sealant worked and I was back on the road within 5 minutes. So yeah, that's my experience with running tubeless on a road bike. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. Let's go find out what other cyclists think. Let's go. So tubeless, love it or hate it?
Love it. About a month ago, I was heading out to Fort Langley for a 100-kilometer ride. Just got out of the car, less than like 500 meters.
Oh.
Everything's squirting out, right? So I said, okay, just keep riding, see if it seals. So then it goes, seals, and then maybe another 10 kilometers again. So it started to come out again. I'm like, keep riding. And I did 100 kilometers and didn't lose any pressure.
Oh, wow.
Yep. So perfect.
Wow.
So I did have to replace the tire after, but still to get 100 kilometers after a huge gash, and it held its air.
Oh, wow.
Yep.
What was the cause that punctured it?
I don't know. I hit something and there was a gash of some sort, but it just kept coming out, and it was all on the bottom of my bike. Like everything just kept coming out and sealed and held it for the whole
Nice. Awesome.
Yeah.
404s. So do you run tubes or tubeless?
I run tubes for road. It makes more sense for me. I find if I'm going a longer distance, if I carry a tube, a latex tube, swap it out quickly. Tubeless sometimes if the patch is too big or the puncture is too big. The sealant won't cover it and then you need tire plugs.
Yeah.
Can't really get those if you don't have them. So
Yeah.
I just find tubes make more sense for me.
Tubeless all the way. So steep. Been running tubeless on non-bike, gravel, and road recently, and they just seal up well. They mount well, and they roll fast.
Yeah. Any problems with tubeless?
I think when you're new to it, it can feel like it's very
once I get to that, I sort of
cumbersome and dirty. But when you get used to it, it's the way to go.
Nice, nice.
Yeah.
Cool.
Apparently when I bought it, they didn't set it, so I was getting a lot of flats.
All right.
And so I had Village Bike set the wheel properly, and now it doesn't go flat after like 2 days.
Okay.
So I find that it's good. I haven't really gotten any flats. So far so good. It's my first year riding tubeless. So yeah, I think thumbs up.
Yeah.
It's the sheer being able to run your tire.
Even though you hit something.
Well, you can run your tire low, which everyone wants to be able to do with tubes, but you flat out. Whereas you're not going to flat out.
But I mean,
You're going to get a more.
so here's a question, right? Are you here to enjoy the comfort? You get a gravel bicycle, right?
No, but I have a gravel bike.
Well, yeah. Well, yeah, I could do that.
But I just checked.
Yeah, I have a gravel bike too, right?
But in the end, though, is that a more comfortable ride is 60 psi. I don't care.
Tubeless all the way. Although I don't run tubeless on my mountain bike yet.
What?
I don't know why. I've only ever ran this bike with a couple tubes in it, only as a backup before I fixed the hole. So I find this smoother, faster. Yeah, it's just the way to go.
And no problems at all?
No, I've had big enough blowouts that they weren't saved by the the sealant, but that's about it.
Yeah, my hang, where I've had trouble with the, tubeless setup. So,
Oh, really?
just yesterday I went to the tube in the rear here also. Both are not running tubes, right? Just from leaking the air. So
It does that. It's
no, but like it was just like it was pretty bad coming from this sidewall and the tread here. So I just and then it happened at the bead for the back one too. So I just got fed up with it. So at least for now, right? But everyone has their own little opinions, right? So.
yeah, I should get my mountain bike over to tubeless, but I'm apprehensive to commit to going up the mountain and then going, something's wrong.
It's such a sort of 50-50 split, I find, between tubeless and tubes.
Yeah.
Now it's becoming more tubeless actually in the past probably couple of years, right?
Like, do you
Well,
love it?
so far for me it's been great. The hardest part is people don't realize what it takes to repair a tubeless tire if it needs to be repaired. The last thing you ever want to do is put a tube in it, and people don't understand that.
Right.
Yeah, that's so you got to be prepared. I, on a long ride, will carry extra sealant. I carry tire plugs, whatever it takes. On a really long ride, I will take a tube, but that's just as an emergency, so I don't have to call my wife from like 80 miles away.
Cool.
Yeah. Oh, and the other thing is, you got to figure out what sealant works, because I have heard that some sealant doesn't work with some tires.
Right.
So what might work in a Continental might not work, say, in the giant tire that came with the bike. Or
Yeah.
it doesn't work as well.
Yeah, because I had stands and it didn't
Stands
seal.
is useless on the road.
Yes.
Yeah.
I wonder.
It seals at 30 psi. That's perfect for mountain bike, right? Yeah.
Makes
Stands
sense.
doesn't have enough.
Well, there's two versions of it.
Yeah, but the other one will actually plug up the valve stem if you try to put through, right? Yeah. Oh, 100%.
I used it for a bit. It was chunky.
Yeah. The stands will race. Yeah. I mean, the mountain bikers bust the bead and put it in. Yeah. Yeah, my experience has been good so far. Sometimes you have to let those slow, big leakers just low pressure, and I had one leak for about half an hour, and it just bubbled out. So, and then finally it sealed. But if you try to pump it up to 80 or 90 while it's still bubbling, it might never seal.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've done that. Just rode sort of 50 psi, really cushy ride, then pumped it up later, and it's great. Once they seal, they stay sealed, but I've had them bubble.